Hi guys, Go Ahead Eagles Ajax 2-1. Tough loss, embarrassing actually performance. If I'm very honest, Yaiderenko, how did you experience that game? What did you see? What's your opinion right after the game?
Yeah, you could clearly see that we played against the best team of the eredivisie. No, it was as always when they don't start well, then it's most of the time it's downhill from there, and even halftime or substitutions don't really impact the gameplay.
All right, so let's start from the beginning before we talk about the substitutions, right? So what did you see in that first half? What went wrong? Why did we concede 2 goals?
It wasn't that bad to me until the first goal. The first goal was, as we call it in Dutch, out of the air. A bit of lucky from their side, and we had, I believe, 2 chances that could have been a goal. Especially the header from Klaassen could or maybe should have been a goal.
Yeah.
And although the ref said it was offside, it wasn't.
True.
So it was it had counted, I guess.
Which would change the game, right? I mean, if you're 1-0 up, you have a completely different game, basically.
Yeah, I don't know, because after the 1-0 of Go Ahead, there was no real reaction, and it got worse from that. From that moment on, they, yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. It was playing the ball around, trying to find a gap, but not having tempo, not having the tenacity that Go Ahead Eagles did have a bit. I even don't think Go Ahead Eagles played a very good game. They just ran very hard and gave everything, and that's about it.
Especially in the second half, they were tired.
Yeah. And maybe only in the last 10 minutes there was a little bit of pressure from Ajax, but also after the 2-1, there was no momentum that they grabbed. There was no change in tenacity. There was no change in tempo, really. Yeah, maybe the last 10 minutes were looking a bit better, but that's about it, a bit better. And that's, I think that's not good enough.
Let me ask you a question, right? I mean, you talked about the tenacity, the motivation, maybe the energy. There's a difference there. I mean, usually we're not used to Ajax playing like this, right? Usually they play with more energy. Is there a reason for this? Do you think you know why this is? I talked to Papimento earlier, and we touched upon maybe the lack of rotation in this squad. You know, we're playing with the same players over and over and over again, and especially up front. You know, but are we not squeezing them too much? I mean, coming from a Champions League game against Benfica and going to the Adelaarshorst in Go Ahead Eagles, you know, this is the. I mean, Anthony plays everything, Tadic plays everything, Haller plays everything. You know, these players play everything. Are we not asking too much of them, or don't you think that's an excuse?
It could be an excuse, but I think the technical staff should be able to see that if that's the case, and if that's the case, they should intervene, basically, and they didn't. So then I'm assuming that the players are fit enough, and if you're fit enough. For me, it's basically always the same. When they play high enough tempo, it's mostly good, and mostly you win with 3-0, 5-0 scores like that. If the tempo is not that well, we always get in trouble. We always have a draw, or maybe even lose, like today, which is unnecessary. And on eredivisie level and on CL level, we see the same thing happening over and over again. Not only this season, but also previous seasons. So, yeah, to me, it's a lack of the right mentality into the game. You always have to pressure. If you don't pressure, if you don't give everything, then you can have a tough game. If you do have pressure, if you do have the tempo, then the quality rises sooner or later in the game, and then you win it. And that's what you see in the scores. Why everybody's talking about that Ajax becomes champions easy. Yeah, that's because the quality difference is that big.
Yeah, if they play with the right tempo.
Yeah, because
exactly.
then the quality rises, and then they make more mistakes than they do now.
Yeah,
and then you make the goals.
Let me ask you another question. I was looking at your ratings, quite low ratings, which is understandable, but you also gave Ten Hag a 3, if I'm not mistaken. I'm wondering why, because not because I think he deserves more, but more if you look at the team collectively. I thought there were so many players that didn't play well. I mean, what can you do as a coach during the game if so many players are not playing well?
But the 3 is basically really simple. 1, they didn't start that well.
Okay.
They didn't have a good first half. 2, the subs weren't that great. If you look at Gravenberg, if you look at he let Blind even play the whole game. Why? Who knows? And there wasn't really a change due to the subs, and there was no change in the second half. They didn't come well out of the dressing room. They just went on with it, which you do want to see when you play this kind of a first half and are 2-0 behind. Then you want to see some aggression in the second half, especially when you're right out of the dressing room. You want to see, okay, we got it. We didn't play well. Now we're going to show that we're Ajax and the reason why we are on the top of the league. You didn't see that at all.
When we scored a 2-1, when we scored a 2-1, did you feel like, okay, we have enough time now, we're going to pick this up and we're going to get at least a draw? Did you have that feeling, honestly?
Again, Go Ahead didn't play that well, so you should have won easily, especially after the 2-1. You should have pressed them harder. You should have upped the tempo, and then the chances will come. But if you don't up the tempo, then it's easy for a tiring team even to withstand the attacks. Because if we're realistic, after the 2-1, there weren't that much big chances we got.
No,
maybe 1 or 2.
We pushed a lot, though. We were pushing a lot, but no real threat or chances. That's true. Look, how do we move? How would you go from here, Yaiderenko? So what lessons can we learn? Are you worried at this stage, or do you think this is just a one-off situation?
It's definitely not a one-off, because this has been going on for 4 seasons now. So it's the same over and over again. And I don't know what they can change, because didn't.
Hold up. The second half of the season, usually last year, we were much better than the first half. Usually we're not used to having this kind of mini crisis, in the second half of the season. So what is happening now?
No, but if you look at the games, and if you look when we lose points, or we get kicked out of the European knockout stage, then it's always the same. It's always lacking a bit of spirit, lacking a tempo, lacking pressure. It's always the same story. So in that perspective, I don't think it's got something to do with the first half of the season or the second half of the season. It's got to do with the mentality, how they try to play, because they think they will manage. They will manage, carry on with the gameplay they have, because they're good enough. But every time when there's a draw or there's a hard game, it shows it doesn't. You need something extra. You need something more as just better quality players. If they don't perform.
Yeah, so my question would be, what's the main reason? Is it attitude, or is it quality, or is it both?
I think it's I think attitude is the quality. I think the mentality is just not really there. If you look at the first season, no, not the first season of Den Haag, but the epic season with the semi-final, you also saw in the competition that they really had some terrible games and had some tough games, which were also unnecessary. And the feeling I got in that season that the players are really focused on the Champions League. So maybe that's happening right now as well, that they think, oh, Go Ahead Eagles, we will win that easily, as they should. But you have to play ball to win.
All right. Are you worried about this week's game, semi-final, KNVB Cup against AZ? Or do you think this is a wake-up call? They're not going to make the same mistake twice?
Yeah, sure, they make the same mistakes over and over again. But this is a more high-profile game, so they can win, they can lose. But I think the mentality will be better, as it was today. But the problem will be if you look at the first half, then you know how tough it's going to be. If they play well, then it's no problem. If they don't play well, yeah, then it worries.